Hello and welcome to episode 481 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, a place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. My name is Vince Hunt, and joining me as always is the creator of the comic series Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And the man that inspired the famous motto for Gillette. It's Tony Esmond.
Hello. What does George Michael like in his stir fry?
Go on.
Well, I guess it would be rice.
That is top fucking tier. Welcome to the show, everyone. I was a little bit scared when that joke started.
The legal proceedings have begun.
I was like, oh my god, I didn't have a chance to say this. Whatever he says is not what we think.
Too late.
But welcome to the show, everyone. It's going to be a fun one this week. It's a Three Amigos show, and we're just going to be doing some awesome comics.
The one
talk.
you all crave for.
Yeah, the one you all need.
Put in early as well, aren't we? Friday the 13th.
Yeah. As we're recording this, it is Friday the 13th. So if any of us get killed by Jason Voorhees or something weird happens to us during
fall
the
down the
recording,
stairs.
Yeah. You don't have any stairs near you though, Tony, do you? Like near you?
We've got
Those
lots of
bookcases
sets of stairs.
looming behind him.
Yeah. It's danger at every turn in my house.
Yeah.
Wow. And this show is going to be dangerously fun to listen to because we have a few topics that we're going to talk about and lots of comics to discuss and some potential topics that might be of interest to independent publishers and stuff out there as well. But first, we have, of course, a lovely sponsor. And this week, I mean, never mind the segue, because I tell you what, they're a bit of a dark horse when it comes to the digital comics scene.
Oh, they won't.
And Global Comics are changing the game. And they are our lovely sponsor. Tony, don't just hold things up. It doesn't work. It's an audio show. Don't hold.
Just trying to put you off.
Just toy guns. Just holding them up on the Zoom call.
This is the one I threatened to kill myself when you couldn't remember Doug Mensch a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but thankfully I have remembered we are doing an audio podcast and that is sponsored by Global Comics. That is the place to go for digital comics. Huge library of titles available to read on there from thousands of indie creators. Webcomic creators are being added there all the time, and there's hundreds of publishers like Image, Boom, Tokyo Pop, TK Studios, SourcePoint Press, Mad Cave Comics, Vault, Humanoids, to name a few. The catalogue is still growing, and big news is Dark Horse is on there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
This was a very exciting news this week.
Down to us.
We're just going to say that everything's down to us, but it's probably down to a lot of hard-working people behind the scenes who have been trying to put together the deal. But we're going to take credit for it.
Well, we do know that there's people at Dark Horse. There's some of the big wigs at Dark Horse do listen to the ACP.
Yeah, they're big fans.
So they've obviously heard the Global Comics advert.
If I ask, are they? Does it seem like?
Okay. Yeah, I can't reveal my sources.
Okay.
This is
journalistic
integrity on this.
Oh right, yeah. Which is what we have on this show. But yeah, Dark Horse Comics. This was it's kind of one of those things. The big news for us, really, isn't it? Because in terms of comics and independent publishers, and when I was, the heyday, as we talk about sometimes, like the Wizard days and stuff, Dark Horse were, before Image came along, Dark Horse were the third one, weren't they? They were the big,
They've got some stuff from back then. I mean, they've got the Mask comics on GC, haven't they?
Yeah.
Does go back quite a way.
Man, these fucking artwork is this next level.
Yeah.
That's like Jeff Darrow style kind of levels of detail. And
I mean,
I was just spinning through some of the titles, man.
Hellboy Library.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Lone Wolf and Cub, we've got Appleseed the Goon, Empowered, ElfQuest, the Grendel Omnibus, Fuck Me Black Mask.
And the Rabbit has landed.
Usagi. It's all in there.
There's thousands of pages of Usagi comics on there.
Wow. It was so amazing that a little bell went off then.
Whose bell was that?
That was mine on the phone.
Because
that
was probably like the 1,500 notifications that Dan gets.
No, you've got to guess how many have I got this time?
112.
118. You're fucking close, Vince.
Yeah.
Every time. It's like you cheated.
Yeah.
Is that a bell? Is that your erection bell?
Oh, that goes off all the time when we're doing the show.
That goes off to everyone's in Boston.
There it goes. It went off again.
What are you doing there? What are you put your hands? Keep your hands up.
I need my hands when you get to this level.
Jesus Christ. We're in the sponsorship ad. We're in the fucking sponsorship ad.
He's like the Sting of wanking.
Don't fuck about it in front of the
You talking
money.
about the pop star, the wrestler? Either one is an icon. But back to Dark Horse.
Loads of titles, man.
Because,
Great titles.
like, in terms of an archive, you know, there are so many classic books that we can now. I mean, there's loads of stuff from Dark Horse that I've always wanted to read but never had on the shelf.
Yeah.
I mean, Dark Horse do make some beautiful printed books. Anyway, their printed collections are fucking marvelous, aren't they? The Dark Horse, you know, actual.
They put together
books.
some BPRD omnibuses as well. Lobster Johnson, Hellboy.
Yeah. Well, you gifted me a BPRD one for my birthday this year, didn't you?
Oh, did I? Of course I did. Yeah.
So
that's a shame. I should have found you something that's not on Global Comics. But yeah.
Hey, no, I'm still going to pick that up off the shelf, and then I can
read
more of the books on Global Comics. So there's loads of stuff.
Wait, you whistle?
Yeah, indeed. And there is plenty of whistles to be wetted. Anyway,
soaked.
I've actually been on there this week. I uploaded Vanguard issue 22.
Yes.
I went through and did all the frames. That took me a good couple of hours.
Right.
That's quite a lot of work doing that. I think you can turn it off though when you read books, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to.
I very rarely read panel to panel stuff.
Yeah. Because there's, I mean, obviously there's tools for lots of different sort of creators or ways of reading.
You're going to do verticals on it, Dan?
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Yeah, unless you create a book that's specifically made for verticals, because there's a lot of webtoon stuff is being added to there, isn't it? And those are designed with vertical in mind, isn't there?
The Marvel verticals are just like you're scrolling, there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening.
Yeah,
it's like I scrolled fucking 4 times to find a picture of a dog. All right, keep going. Oh, there's a person that,
You sure that was Marvel comic? Or you just went on Instagram or something like that?
Oh no, it's just ex-hamster.
It's weird doing the interactive frames on the comics. I'm like, would people find this irritating? Like, I was doing it in the Viper book, and she does the countdown. So I've done it. So it goes like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then like the launch. But like, would people find that irritating? Is that, well, if you like that kind of thing, you maybe that's your kind of jam.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just want the straight comic page, you just turn it off and read it.
I think there's nothing wrong with like pushing the envelope and trying different things. I think you still got to give someone an option to still read it regularly. But, you never know. You might try something and then all of a sudden people love that way of reading. But, yeah, you can set up loads of stuff like that. If you're a creator yourself, you can publish your digital comics like Vanguard on there. They offer loads of great tools for indie creators to help with publishing and more. The customer service is great. And, if you're an average comics reader and you haven't got it yet, I know they sponsor us, but seriously, we use
got
it
to check it out.
Really,
it's good. Loads of the Slack members have got it.
Yeah. I love to go through and try and discover some new books as well and new creators, because people just upload like shorts that they're doing as well, like a 7-8 page comic. They just upload it there. It's a great way to discover creators. So for more information, go to Global Comics, that's comics with an X.com. You can download the app now on Apple App Store or Google Play and start reading and publishing digital comics like never before. And the app, I was looking at it on my phone for one of the first times, because normally I read on my iPad. But my iPad ran out of battery at work today, so I was just on the phone, and it was easy to read comics like that as well, Cause, I wasn't sure about doing that at first with a phone, because for me a phone experience isn't always. I think that's why I used to.
Never a good thing on the phone. Is it?
I think panel to panel works better for phones.
I agree. Yeah.
But
it's kind of like watching fucking Goodfellas on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I watch a trashy film on the phone, but if I'm on an actual comic, I'm not going to kind of do it the indignity of.
Yeah. But of course, the way that people read comics and just general comics, and
it's all subjective, man.
It's all subjective, and it's ever changing as the new generation who only know how to read comics on webtoons or things like that. It's an interesting world, and a world that we are going to continue to talk about on a weekly basis. And thank you very much for joining us. Before we get stuck in, though, we obviously have some naturally sort of sad news to discuss, and that is the passing of John Cassaday. This week, which was sudden for a lot of people.
52.
That's no age at all, man.
That's 6 years younger than me.
Yeah.
That is, it's absolutely no age. If you are a creator or reader, or just interested in comics anyway, and you may have heard of the name, or maybe you haven't heard of the name, or you're unaware of the work, please do seek some of his work out and look at it, because he was a beautiful draftsman.
He's one of the greats.
Two Eisners, a Wizard World Award, and an Eagle Award. There you go. He didn't do too badly. Yeah. I'm going to say easily for me, it is Planetary.
Yeah, it's got to be Planetary.
I just reread issue 2 of Planetary before we came on, because I sort of hinted at it before we started recording. And there's a moment in the last panel of Planetary issue 2, which I think you think, fucking, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's the clean, gorgeous artwork he did, along with the sort of twisted story of Ellis, and that sort of he kept him working, because it switched sort of almost styles of storytelling each issue, didn't it? But there's a moment at the end of issue 2, I'll spoil it a bit, where they think they're in the graveyard of kaiju, and one flies over the top of them.
Yeah.
And you think, fucking hell, I just took my breath away. That.
And
so well realised. There was a little bit.
The kaiju, does it? It's not like a flying monster. It's like, it looks like a kaiju from like the Japanese movies. Like
he seemed back then to me to be a bit more sort of Frank Quietly-esque, a little bit.
Yeah.
And it became a bit cleaner. I saw someone wrote a thing about him today saying that he took a lot of his inspiration from American wartime posters. You know, these sort of super patriotic, join the battle, and this sort of thing. And you can see a lot of that going on in his sort of heroic poses.
His Uncanny Avengers, I remember when they started that, and like obviously his Captain America, which had that sort of chainmail kind of, the detail on it. I know he only did like 4 issues or something like that, didn't he? But
his Astonishing X-Men is the one that came up a lot. The stuff with Josh Whedon.
And I know he did a lot of work for Marvel, but the one book that for me is what I think of as one of the early ones. The Desperados. A Moment's Sunlight. That's a graphic novel I've gone back to a few times. It's a very dark supernatural Western story. If you haven't checked it out, I think it was 97 around that, 97, 98, something like that. That's one of those books on the shelf that I won't settle trade. If I do a clean out, that's always there. Do you know what I mean? Desperados is great.
I remember hearing the dude in the local comic shop. I went in there to buy some comics, and I just missed him being in there with Dave Gibbons. He'd come over and was sort of hanging out a bit with Dave Gibbons, and the bloke in the comic shop said John Cassaday was just in it. I went, fucking hell, really? And he went, yeah, he's the best looking man I've ever seen, and he was wearing a cowboy hat. That's how he described it.
Amazing.
But if you read Planetary, I think he's drummer, isn't he? I get the sense
really?
There's a little bit of drummer.
A bit of a drummer in him. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. He's got that sort of little chin beard thing going on.
That's
a real
shame series.
Yeah, a big loss. I mean, it's always sad to sort of say, go and discover the work now, because we should all be discovering it. We should all treasure the artists that we like anyway, while they're still here, because you just never know. But R.I.P. to John Cassaday.
He wasn't on my my bingo card for this year, was he? Not on anyone's, really.
That just sort of came out of fucking left field, didn't it?
Yeah, and as always with any of these things, no matter who we talk about, and we have mentioned like creators passing away, just our thoughts to the family and everything at this time, because that's what it's all about. Never, beyond the legacy and everything, it's the people they leave behind. So a sad bit of news for this week, but we sort of had to mention it, because I think even if you're not necessarily aware of it, that's an artist, like an artist as well. I think has crafted and influenced a generation, an absolute generation. Whether you there's some artists I know in the UK field who do this kind of really talented sort of, but there's almost like a realistic look to them and stuff. One that thinks that our pal Connor Boyle, he's got that sort of realistic look to it. There's that early days sort of Cassaday. I wouldn't be surprised if he's read some of his stuff and been influenced by things like that.
Some of the texture in his work was absolutely great. I reread the first trade of Planetary, where who's the Doc? Is it Doc Bronze, Doc Savage? Like the old pulp character.
Doc Savage,
and all these legs of action. And the way he does it is like, oh, that's amazing. It's really well done.
The Batman crossover they did was great when he has all the different Batman stuff.
Yeah. So, check out some of Cassaday's work. Now, on to lighter things, but maybe looking back on some comics of old, or just a question here. I mean, it's almost a little game. Tony's got a little question for us to sort of test our knowledge, and also will probably provoke discussion about just comics in general.
I was hot and not.
Yeah. Because we're looking back. We're completely looking back in time, isn't it? Now, obviously, no matter who you are, if you listen to this, play along at home, see if you know, because I guarantee me and Dan will get everything wrong.
You're going to know way more than me.
I don't think you're going to get number one.
Interesting.
I don't think so. What I thought we could do is we're gonna try and guess the top 10.
Okay.
Now, what is this? The top 10 of what? I
top
forgot.
10 of
September
2004. So exactly 20 years ago.
So this is the top 10.
This is the top 100 US comic book sales for September 2004 from Comics International.
Okay.
So I thought you might want to try and get. Give me a number.
This is 20 years ago, as we're
20 years ago. So give me a number from 11 to 100, and I will tell you the comic that's at that point, and that will help get you into the brain space of what's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we doing one each?
Yeah, let's do a few. So Vince, you go first.
18, my lucky number.
18. Marvel Knights Spider-Man.
Oh, fucking, I didn't even know that was a comic.
There's a few here that you may not know, actually.
25.
25 is JLA 106. And that sold 60,000 comics. Number 25.
Fucking hell. I mean, in this day and age, that's fantastic numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's go a bit higher. Let's go 52. Hey.
52 is Batman Legends of the Dark Knight 183. And the 52nd biggest selling comic. It sold 42,000.
Fucking hell, the numbers are still pretty
good.
Give me one more then, 11. Let's see what we're closest.
X-Men 161.
Okay.
The thing is, a lot of those titles haven't really told me anything. The X-Men's been rebooted so many times, and the other ones are sort of legacy titles.
Let me give you a couple more then. What have we
got in there? 67. What have we got? 67.
Well, interestingly, I was about to give you 66. So I'll give you 67, which is Rogue issue 3, which means fuck all.
Yeah.
Which sold 35,000. Number 66 is Exiles 52. So that gives you the period.
Fucking hell, Exiles 52 as well.
Issue 52. Yeah. Let's find a couple more.
Man, I'm completely a fucking drifter.
Okay. So there's a lot of people who are obviously listening who some of those titles they've got in their collections. God bless you.
But the thing is, with so many reboots, it's hard. I'm just trying to find something that isn't a reboot. Spawn 138.
Okay.
Action Comics 819. Cool. Yeah, everything else
is going to be tough.
A reboot.
But is there any sort of Dark Horse or Image titles? Those sort of smaller.
Okay, so let me break it down for the top 10 now for you.
Okay,
so
yeah.
You'll know. There is only Marvel and DC in the top 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. 41 is Wanted Image.
Oh,
times have changed.
That gives me a kind of idea because I remember getting Wanted at the time.
57 G.I. Joe versus Transformers, which is Devil's Due.
Okay, so right.
Okay, so the top 10 is 3 DC comics and 7 Marvel comics.
Okay.
I'll give you a clue, so you can get the first one. The first one is DC Comics.
Okay. So, how many?
The second one we've just mentioned, actually. So the first one is a DC comic.
I imagine Batman's going to be higher, so I'll go for a JLA, Justice League.
No, this is number 1 we're going for.
Oh, number one. Batman. I'll go for Batman.
No, almost right. Partly right.
Is it Detective Comics?
No.
Oh.
Doesn't exist at the moment, this title.
Oh.
What is?
It was Here's a Clue in the really shitty Wiki Wild Wild West version of I Am Legend. There's an advert for it on a billboard.
Oh, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, Batman, Superman.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, I think
Or
that must
Superman, Batman is
that
actually
must have
number
been
12.
that must have been done that Ed McGuinness. Remember when Ed McGuinness was
with
drawing
the
that?
big chunky,
Yeah.
So
Love
that's
Ed
number
McGuinness.
one. Guess the sales numbers.
Sales numbers on that number one.
Yeah.
Ooh, now 126.
Dan?
150.
140.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, we just mentioned.
Just to clarify for any sort of listeners who may not know, this is at a time when there were no loot crates, there were no bumping these numbers by selling them via other means. Which is what a lot of publishers do now, isn't it? They say they've got a 1 million selling book when really they've just sold it to someone to put into a box with something else.
Saying that only the top 4 are over 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was it Detective Comics?
No, number two. No, it's a Marvel comic.
Oh,
it's got to be an X-Men title.
It is. We mentioned it a second ago. It's Astonishing X-Men.
Astonishing X-Men.
Yeah, 131,000. Number 3 is a DC Comics mini-series that is quite notorious.
DC Comics mini-series?
Oof. Not.
It is a Crisis one, but not perhaps the one you're thinking of.
Oh. See, at this time in my comics reading and stuff, I was out of DC.
Oh man,
I was that's not where I didn't read any DC.
You'll know this one.
Oh God,
Marvel ripped it off a bit by using the first word and the word disc. Shall I tell you?
Yeah, go for it.
Identity Crisis.
Oh fuck! Of course it fucking was.
Yeah. That's a big seller. That's almost 130,000.
Okay.
The fourth one you won't get is Superman.
Okay.
The fifth one,
but Superman in the top 5.
Yeah,
that's
pretty unheard of at the moment.
Yeah.
But 2 titles in the top 5. There's Superman, Batman, and
yeah.
The next one is an Ultimate title. Number 5.
Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah. Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ultimate X-Men.
That was doing
Ultimate
that well.
X-Men 51.
That was doing that well. I always see in my head, Ultimate X-Men started really well, and then it sort of died off. For me personally, that's just how I read it.
Yeah, I always thought that.
It felt like Ultimate Spider-Man just kept going, just was consistent. Yeah.
Saying which, number 7 is Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay.
6 and 8 are the same X title. They're uncanny.
Okay.
Number 9.
What? There's two issues in the same.
They must have double shipped in the same month.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And number 9 and 10 are the same comic, which obviously double shipped. Guess it's a Marvel comic, team book.
A team book.
Avengers.
Oh right. Oh, I thought it wouldn't be. So
Man, it's all the core titles.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like.
Let me just read you. I'll read you the 11 to 23. So, 11 and 12 are X-Men, 161 and 162. 13 is Ultimate Fantastic Four number 11. Again, I found that surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, that
14...
was pretty good for a little while. I mean, let's not forget Ultimate Fantastic Four is where we got the fucking Marvel Zombies from.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that is a big shout.
Yeah.
I think that was a hot book, wasn't it? That was a shelf book for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
14, Amazing Spider-Man 512. 15, Ultimate Nightmare. 16, X-Men End, Book 1, Dreamers and Demons, Issue 3.
Bloody hell. I don't even know what that is.
I can't remember what that is.
But Tony's he's still probably got it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be in the long books.
Yeah.
17 was Wolverine the End, number 5.
What was this End crossover then?
I can't remember, man.
No,
it's so not stuck in my mind.
Is it a crossover, or is it just one of those when they got those?
Not sure. Yeah,
the last
Wolverine
days.
End seems to ring a bell. Yeah. Number 18 is Marvel Knights, Spider-Man. Number 19 is Batman. Number 20 is Wolverine. 19, 21 and 22 are the Teen Titans. 23 is JLA. 24 is Strange One. No.
What, Strange One or Strange Issue 1?
Issue 1.
Strange Issue 1, yeah.
That might be
60,000.
Is that a Doctor Strange one?
It's got to be in it. Yeah, got to be. Yeah.
If it was it's a Marvel book, yeah. It's a Marvel book, is it?
Yeah.
It must have been. Yeah.
Marvel massively dominate the top 30.
How many of them are X books?
Oh, loads of them.
In the
In the
top
top
20.
20, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I mean, it's fascinating.
10 books.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean,
Was this 2002, wasn't it?
yeah,
2004.
2004.
2004, sorry.
It's so difficult. I mean, numbers now, especially with the rise of digital, they're so amorphous. They're so weird. Like people hold on to, they'll make up numbers or they'll inflate them, or it's hard to really say. I think a lot of the time, but I think that's quite.
Okay. It's a Marvel Knights title that Doctor Strange issue 1. It's sort of like a kind of
right.
But
it's
interesting,
like a kind of
2004,
formula.
the Marvel Knights were doing well. The Ultimate line was doing well.
Yeah.
A lot of the pillars of the DC titles were doing well.
Apologies. The first non-Marvel and DC title, I missed this one because it was Conan. Conan number 8, which is Dark Horse, was at 36.
36.
So that was the top-selling non-Marvel DC book.
Yeah.
Same the previous month. It was number 29.
Yeah. And that's
things have changed.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think lists like this, they're no view on quality, are they? It's not really saying what's good and what's bad. I mean, some of the titles that are probably in the top 10 there were just people were consistently buying them for years and years and years and years. I know the Batman Superman stuff, that was just the hotness. That got a lot of promo at the time, didn't it?
Yeah.
That was especially with Ed McGuinness's artwork. You'd see that on a poster in a Forbidden Planet.
He must have come off of Deadpool a couple of years prior, and then
I think he did Deadpool first, but then he moved on. He was doing a lot of Wildstorm stuff, wasn't he? Do you remember he did like Mr. Majestic and then he started with. Did he do Batman Superman before he did a Superman on his own?
I don't know.
I thought he did it.
He was quite fucking hot at that time. I do remember that.
Superman Batman was a hot title back then.
Yeah,
it really was. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. That is. I think that's. I mean, seeing the numbers as well. I mean, we could get depressed by. A lot of people would absolutely. They would
kill for those book numbers, man.
Yeah. And of course, yes, people will say, "Well, comics have never been stronger."
It's just wrong.
I mean,
it's just objectively wrong.
And
it's also got they do a 1 out of 10 in here, like a review section.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see if I can get you to guess 1 out of 10.
Oh,
yeah. So let me choose one. Okay, Mystique number 19 by McKeever and Garcia Fernandez, Marvel Knights story. 1 out of 10. What do you think? Out of 10.
Fucking Mystique got an issue 19 up to issue 19. Bloody hell.
Yeah. 5.
I'll give it a 7.
6.
6.
Okay. Between us there, Dan. Oh.
Black Widow 1 by Morgan and Sinkovich.
8.
5.
Oh god, that must have been a bit of a stinker.
I know. That's about, wasn't it?
Sinkovich.
Exiles number 53.
4.
6.
7. Yeah, they're not kind in here.
No,
they're not taking any business in this. Yeah. Judge Dredd magazine 224.
8.
6.
8 was 8.
Nice.
Yeah. Ultimate Nightmare 2.
Go 7.
6.
I don't even know that fucking title.
4. They
4.
didn't like that one, did they?
Wow.
Was that bemoaning last week that fucking exceptional X-Men? Like every site I read it on was like giving it 8s and 9s out of 10s, and I was like,
I don't. It's worthless. The reviews on these sites, absolute waste of time. You're better off finding people on a podcast you trust and hearing what they say. Like Vince Bond at 11 o'clock. I've been listening to them since before they started, and he said it was a massive whiff, and he ain't wrong.
Yeah.
So
yeah. There's a lot of it's the recommendations now rather than like reviews. Certainly in the comics world, and we've said it before.
It's just promo. It's not reviews anymore. They're just promoting them.
And even like you can't even say the most honest opinions of it are the people that are doing in the comments section or doing this or that, because that is just over the top trolling or over the top just fawning over. Yeah. There's just a lot of that. So
not harping about this topic, but I thought the worst it could get was people taking backhanders to sort of say this product is good when it's not. like saying, so giving a comic 9 out of 10 when it should be a 4 out of 10. But now it's kind of progressed to this point of saying, if you don't like this comic, you are X, Y, and Z.
You're a Nazi. Yeah, I think the thing is, people just want to be just desperate for friends.
Yeah.
In the industry.
They use that.
Yeah. And because of the nature of sort of social media or like, you know, the online community and stuff, I think there's more and more people who are stepping away from it, stepping back from it, which means that the world of these communities and like these that you make, the friendly ones, the ones that are friends and stuff, the recommendations rather than reviews have never been more important, which is why, you know,
I had a bit of a thought about this, if I can have a bit of a share. The embracing of like the online haters, trolls, fathering, right, whatever you want to do, that serves both sides, because the people who are the haters or whatever, they're a relatively small group. But so when you get people, they say, oh, the reason this product failed is because of the haters and all these people. They think, well, we can actually do something. You've got a bit of power. But they're probably a very small amount of people with a large voice. But also on the other side of that, the people are putting out this product which is shite, and then they blame those people for the reason it's failed. They've both getting something out of that. It's both transactional for both of them, because they'll can
be
say,
telling people at dinner parties.
The reason my book failed is because all these people online were fucking
online right wing.
But then there's obviously a lot of saying the right words to the right ears will keep you in a certain circle. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, that goes beyond comics. That's been
it's what I've always said. If you want to review comics, you've got to be outside the party. You can't be in the party.
No.
Yeah.
The same as movies. You want to review a movie, you can't be fucking someone desperate to get to fucking openings and be friends with actors. You've got to be outside the party.
Yeah.
Because you potentially be you're telling the truth, in as much you might be slagging off, you might be praising it, but because
all I want out of reviewers is honesty.
It can get can get so frustrating, can't it? I mean, when we listen to it, or certainly when you look at you know, articles in parentheses there, you know, the things online, the clickbait things, or, you know, I was trying to find news, you know, some comics news this week. I thought, right, I'm going to see if I can find something, and there wasn't. It was
nothing. It was pointless.
It was.
Well, we know what's happening with that.
Yeah.
You know, people are fucking scared to say things these days.
You've got one of the biggest potential sex sort of crimes brewing, and it's not a fucking whisper.
Nobody's talking about it. But finally, you know, the BBC talked about it today. So.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair play.
Yeah. So there's just, you know, I think there's a lot of great work to try and veer us back onto the positive, because it's easy to just get caught up in it, isn't it?
No, I think it's more the positive of, like, you kind of to get these trusted voices. You go into smaller groups of people, you know, and if Joe Blogs, your mate, you know, who makes comics, who reads comics, says this is really worth checking out. It's really worth checking out. I mean, we gave the big shout about the thank you comic, and Sean Gabrin sent load, and that's
because it's good.
It's good.
And it's always going to be tricky for people to get their comics and their voice out there. I think, but it always has. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is with the new Sean Gabrin comic, I know was it you, Vince, reviewed the first one? I can't remember now. Was it you or Dan?
Let's All Die.
Let's All Die. I think.
No, I mean the recent one.
Oh, thank you. I think I reviewed. We all jumped in on it. I mean, I reviewed it, and then
But you had some questions that about the use of the cover and the back cover and stuff, and the use of a digital comic and stuff like that prompted a discussion, and that's how it should be. We're not digging people out, we're not attacking anyone. Sean is like, oh no, but this is why I did that, and we're like, oh, that's fucking interesting, let's talk about it. That's like, it's fucking every time you say something like, oh, the lettering's too small, everyone thinks you're fucking digging them out. You know. And let's face it, I bought Exceptional X-Men this week, and it cost me £4.90, and it's a massive waste of money. And I want to tell people that, because otherwise people will be spending a fucking $5 in a comic.
There is some strange disparity in fucking the pricing of comics.
Fucking madness.
Because when I'm doing the scroll, because obviously we're having fun doing the comic covers things again. If you follow us on Instagram, we just pick out some nice covers and stuff like that. But of course, like, you're doing the browse every week, and I'm sort of browsing it. On Comixology, don't get me started on that fucking shit show of the browsing anyway. But to see, like, some of the prices of some of these books, and I'm like, so I start to think, oh God, the price of comics is just unbearable now, you know, because everything's going up. And I scroll down, And then I see another book, same size, probably bigger, a smaller publisher, and it's a couple of quid less.
You know.
So I'm thinking, what's happening there? You know,
I'm at my first small press con for ages tomorrow on Sunday, and it'd be interesting to see pricing.
See the pricing,
yeah, how it certainly compares, because the pricing of the small press shelf at Gosh is massively confusing, because some things are like stupidly overpriced, and some collective cartographies are a great little price. But something that's just like, you can tell they've done it on a photocopy. It says 12 quid on it, and you're like, how the fuck does that say 12 quid?
Yeah. And
I think IDW be getting a lot of shit for the cover prices. They charge a lot.
But IDW always have. I remember that back in the day.
Their trades are stupidly priced.
Around like 2004, funnily enough, like when we were going back, and I was, the heady days of like 30 Days a Night, etc. And you get in those. But also the IDW books were printed on thicker, glossier paper. There was a lot of things. It was an expensive book, and yes, with some of the titles, the quality wasn't always there. But there was kind of like, I can understand why, because it's got a thicker stock on the cover. It's a thicker paper. At least there's some reason for it.
You can see where
that may not be the case now. I haven't read a book, but with some of these books that are coming out now, and you pick them up off the shelf, like, you're paying a few quid. Let's go say extremely nerdy, but never mind the story, never mind the art, never mind the quality of the story going on. But in terms of cover paper, the stock inside, is it worth the?
It's like tissue paper. These days. We've gone down the road now. The covers are pretty much always the same as the interior paper. It's just stupidly ridiculous these days. In fact, would you mind if we segue in a second? Because I wanted to talk a little bit about comic shops, and it was something I was going to talk about last week. Now you mentioned that. I had a week of going to 2 different comic shops 2 weeks ago, on separate days, and I wanted to compare. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's occurred to me recently that there is a refusal of comic shops in the UK to promote the comics that they stock. We never see. Some people do it, some people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but certain comic shops, I couldn't tell. I follow them in emails and social medias and all this sort of thing. I couldn't tell you what was on the shelf from week to week.
Yeah, I mean, the one I can think of, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of people I don't see anything from. I always think of Destination. Is it Destination Venus?
He holds comic book, doesn't he?
And he does he does a video every week on Instagram saying, even when it's like, our delivery's been delayed, he'll always let you know, doesn't he? But he tells you this is the books we got this
Daniel
week.
does it, didn't she? Is it okay, Comics?
Yeah.
I mean, Gosh put out a mailer every week to say these are the comics on the shelf, but I've never ever had anything from them saying, "No, there's a new reboot" or something like that. But anyway, so in the same week, I spotted on stories, the real things on Instagram, that Strange Apparitions in Spalding had bought a collection of a certain publisher that I'm really into at the moment, and he put, we just bought these books. It's a book and comic publisher long gone, terribly infamous, called Savoy Press, and I'm doing a bit of a project for NIA for them. So I thought I'll reach out. So I said, lovely guy, we've had him on the show. I said, I'm doing a project on them. How much? And he says, let me price them up for you. So he individually priced them all up, done me a deal, and sent me the list. All right, within 4 hours.
Right.
It was not a small price, I've got to tell you.
Was it? How big was the list? How many titles? We don't need to know numbers in terms of price, but
I think it was about 15 books and a load of comics as well.
Wow.
This was 15 books and comics.
This is like a curated collection, wasn't it, T?
Yeah. So I quite happily say I spent 300 quid buying some. Yeah. So I said to him, I'll have these are the ones I haven't got. So I will. He says, I'll send them to you for free. I said, no, I quite fancy the day out. I'll come and see you. Yeah, so I drove up to because for anyone that doesn't know, it's in a garden centre in Spalding. It's the best place ever. Doubled in size, half toys, half comics. So I go in there.
Plus, it's a garden centre. I fucking love a garden centre.
It's great as well. There's a lovely cafe there.
A lovely cafe. Did you get a bit of cake?
I had beans on toast because I got there early. Nice. Yeah. Bought a little stone owl for the garden as well. She didn't miss it up.
Nice.
And went in there. He's there. Talked. He showed me all the books. We were talking, and he says, "Oh, I know what you like. I've seen this. You know, I've heard the podcast. I know what you like. What about these? In under the tables, pulling out long boxes, magazine boxes. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?" I ended up spending quite a lot more than that, the amount I just quoted.
Excellent. That's how you do it.
And I came away and I'm thinking, that's great. That's how you run a comic shop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Friendly, interested, sold me stuff, talked about comics. We had a 10-minute conversation just about Caliber Comics, you know, talking about some of the collections he bought, all this sort of thing.
To play devil's advocate with that.
Yeah.
There's also to say that, like, they knew you were coming. They knew what you wanted. You were already a target audience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You weren't just walking in just off the street that particular day. Yeah.
No, I have just dropped in before, though. I have just gone and dropped in.
Yeah.
A number of times.
And had a similar experience when you just
always
dropped in.
Yeah.
Right.
met Rob Hardingham up there for we had a bit of lunch up there and stuff like that. Yeah, I've been up there quite a few times. A couple of times I just haven't announced going in. I've just gone in. And God bless him. Also probably is Krypton Comics in Walthamstow, who are primarily back issue seller. I buy probably every 3 months off them on eBay. Not on eBay, off their site. I go in there when I can, maybe once a year. I go in there and go through, and it's like a warehouse, the back of their shop, you know. And did you see the video he put out last week about how he started the shop and how he's always lived in the area? I thought, why aren't all these places doing that? You can do it with a phone.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway,
especially in this the online world of the cult of personality, but it's also not just the individual of your store, of your brand, of anything, isn't it? You know, just to be like, hello, we're here. It says a lot, doesn't it?
While we're doing this, can I give a shout out to Crunch Comics in Reading? I follow them on Instagram. They're 10 to 11 Harris Arcade Reading. They do that like every week. They do their list of like comics that are out.
So much positive energy. That
Snowball guy shops there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think he recommended them.
Steve Newbold. Yeah. But anyway, so we had a chat about probably better to offload your game and comics now rather than later. I think was one of the things we discussed.
Yeah. If you pop into a charity shop over the next 6 months, you may see a lot of those.
He talks about keys, you know, this thing about keys and minor keys and stuff like that, about back issues, and he says the prices of keys and minor keys are both dropped. Says it's weird, the market's weird. So we had a conversation about that, really interesting. And I drove home. I honestly stopped for a coffee on the way home. I was too excited. I wanted to read the fucking stuff I had in about 3 carrier bags in the back of the car, you know. But that's great. And that was the one day, and then the following day I went into Gosh, and there you go.
Okay,
that's all I say about that one.
Contrasting experiences.
Yeah. Asked my pull list from a person behind the counter who didn't say a fucking sausage. Fortunately, Greg was in there, so I had a conversation on the till, and then I left.
Yeah. I'm not talking about. I mean, I don't shop at Gosh, or there's many named sort of stores across the UK and wherever you are in the world, probably. You know, some bigger name chains wherever you know. America, Australia, wherever you're listening.
Imagine the comic shop's experience in different countries is completely different.
Yeah. Do you think there is, no matter where you are in the world, there's certain stores that rest on their laurels who don't really do the work because they don't feel they need to? You know,
I think a lot of it is the younger staff, isn't in there?
Yeah.
Like, they think they're working in fucking a record shop, and it's okay just to be rude to staff, you know. But so I mean, comic shops have never had a great reputation of being friendly.
No.
But all the ones
it used to be the fact that the clientele was kind of quite alienated, but now we've gone full circle and like the shopkeepers are...
I mean, all the ones I've been into, I try wherever I'm in America, and I go once or twice a year to different places in America. I always go into the comic shops, and I've always found them great.
Yeah.
Same as I worked in The Hague for a few months, and there was a comic shop there. I used to, because I was working weird hours, I used to hang about at lunchtimes in there for a chat and stuff. You know, that's what they got to be like.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be comic shops were akin to like people who made comics. You was in it because you absolutely loved the craft and loved doing it. So
there's a social element to it.
You wouldn't just think, oh, I'm going to start a business. Oh, fuck it, let's do a comic shop. You would do it because you had a big interest in comics. So
yeah. And you would think the amount of money, I'm not saying we or I deserve to be treated better because I spend a lot of money. But I think the reverse of that is I do spend a lot of money. Can you at least be fucking polite?
Yeah.
You know,
not asking for the fucking red carpet.
I mean, to be fair, Tom and Greg in Gosh, I can't fault. Very friendly. The other stuff literally ignore you.
Yeah, I can't attest to your experience in their teeth, but if you say that's the way it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, but
God bless. Discount.
Yeah, but if you are a little comic shop that are just fighting the good fight, and we love hearing about. I mean, we just mentioned Crunch Comics there. We love hearing about these little indie stores, and when we discover them and we look on whether it be their online presence or their online shop or whatever it is, and we see, God fucking bless these people. They love comics, and it's just great to see.
But there is another side to this, which is I just remembered why I brought it up. There's a comic shop just open near you, Dan, isn't there?
Yeah, and in Red Hill.
Yeah.
It's, I think you sent the photo of it, and it's just like the entire wall was like Funko Pops and stuff.
Yeah.
It's mate, you might struggle that one. Might struggle.
Yeah. Are you going to pop in? So it's like,
I'll shoot.
I could see a long box behind someone's.
Yeah, I think we have some long boxes.
Yeah,
but...
there was one sort of tray.
I mean, fucking bless them. If you open a comic shop nowadays, if fucking hats off to you.
Yeah.
And
there are people that fucking. God bless you. People that are just maybe it's their college part-time job and they fucking love comics. So the idea of working in a comic shop is
it's fucking dream.
Just a dream, isn't it? You're just sort of I'm surrounded by comics all the day. God bless you, people. Because that's what we need. We need that sort of energy. That's the.
I mean, opening up in a business nowadays, like the current climate, it's got to be tough. So comic shop is.
Yeah, and certainly
God, you got to be mad.
Yeah. So we certainly know, no matter what the story is, we've heard tales of whether it be the staff don't care, or maybe the managers are a little bit dodgy sometimes under the table and all of this sort of stuff. There's a mixture of all these things. But no matter if you're listening to this and you work, own, or just frequent a comic shop that is just really cool and really lovely, tell us about it. We'll shout about it because we love those places. And let Tony know because he'll fucking go there.
I will.
Yeah. I get my comics from a place in space through their eBay store.
Oh yeah, they're quite.
They're fucking great. Yeah. They always deliver. Bang. Turn up this week. Got my 2 issues of Grendel.
Yeah.
Which we'll be talking about later.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Now another segue.
Before he finished, like Tony, they're like, Tony, here's your 300 comics. It's like that's like a couple £100. So cheers. Can I have a bag? It's 10p.
Yeah, the worst thing is I go in there. It's usually this fucking geezer. I don't know his name. I go in there. Can I have my comics, please?
Who?
He's the one who asked me my name after I've been shopping there 3 years. I said, mate, I've been coming here 3 years. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's fucking painful, mate.
Yeah. 10p. Okay.
But another. Moving on to another segue, a question that I have. Dan's got a little question for us after this as well. But as we're talking about stores, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about because online stores or the way that creators, mini publishers, any kind of publisher really, the importance of their online store and their online presence. Because as we all know, not many people are. I mean, the convention table used to be the big shop, didn't it, for that part of the year, and there was certainly more conventions back in the day. And social media used to be a lot more of a positive space for creators and creativity. Now, if you go online, there's usually a link tree to an Etsy store or a big cartel or anything like that. I think over the past 2 or 3 years, I mean, it's always been important, but would you say now that the online store for anyone, across the world, is ultra important for you getting your books out to a larger public and making them available to people?
It's hard. I said on the show, before we started, I've got the big cartel store, and it's a tenner every month. I'm not sure how many sales. Sometimes I get a bump and I get a load of books sold, and other months it'll be 2 months and I'll get nothing on it. Not a fucking sausage.
I mean, that brings up the point of when you do these online stores, there's services, aren't they? They're usually hosting to be able to put your books on, etc. And sell.
I mean, by cartel, I think you can do 4 products for free. Yeah, over 4 you have to pay.
Yeah.
I only use it. It only works for me when I have a new book out because people buy it from the big cartel. Otherwise, I haven't got anything for sale at the moment because it's all sold out. But when we put a new book out, I'll put it on there.
But if you've only got like just say your catalogue of titles is growing all the time. But like you say, with the new books being out, the new books are the ones that are selling. If you've only got if you've only got that free, the 4 books for a free big cartel, but eventually you've got 5, 6, 7 books, do you swap them around? Do you take out what's not selling? Do you make books not available just so you can sell the thing that is going to sell? Do you think that's a...
Well, you can fuck around with it.
Because I go to a lot of online stores. I'm like, oh, who's this creator? I go to their online stores. And, I mean, it's good for them, but it's frustrating for me from a consumer because I see an awful lot of sold out written on all the things. And I'm like, oh, I really wanted that, but it's sold out.
Yeah.
So if it's sold out, should it be there?
Yeah, it shouldn't be. You should take it down.
You can delist
lazy,
it.
Mate.
Can unlist it.
Yeah, you just delete you can cut you.
I mean,
I'm just lazy.
But is the sold out message a positive thing? Because like at conventions, we're like, oh, I've sold out of all my books. It's a positive thing. But is it different on an online store?
If it's an online store, it's why are you sold out? Are you going to order more in? What's going on? Like, there's a kind of...
See, if I've only got like 3 issues of something and 1 issue of another, I'll just put it as sold out because I can't be bothered to go to the fucking post office and literally over 100 yards from the post.
Yeah. The only thing I'd sort of make a bit of a mention about is there's titles when I've come across the title and I thought, oh, I really like the sound of this, I'll go and buy it. And then I've got to turn into fucking Columbo trying to fucking find out where to buy it from.
Yeah.
It's like you're searching their name. Oh, that's not them. I searched this. Where's their... It's like if you have your socials, please have that fucking shop where you can get your comics in your socials or pinned or something.
Linktree or something.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, I've made a few comics over the years and stuff. I've never had an online store, really. I mean, we sold books for the awesome comics when we did the anthology.
Yeah, we've got one of those, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I never like had an individual one, and it was almost I couldn't wrap my head around it. Do you know what I mean? It was a little bit.
I haven't looked at our online one. I take it that they're all sold out, and they're showing us sold out.
Big cartel.
Yeah. We're completely sell out.
Well, we've got new stuff coming up down the pipeline. More on that later.
Yeah,
I've still got a couple of issues in the garage. Of that, I'm going to take them. Funny enough, I've
got a couple of boxes if you want them.
To the 500.
I'll have had them at Bridlington yesterday.
Nice. So for other creators who don't yet have an online store, maybe they're just starting, or for Luddites like me,
it's just seen as the sort of thing that people do.
Yeah, but
it's really nice to kind of jump on someone's store. Like I've seen people post a couple of pages. I was like, oh, I'd like to get that and go on it, and then they got the digital where they're for like $3. I was like, yep, I have that. I read that. Yeah, it's real quick.
Yeah,
they have to fuck around.
Yeah. Do you think it's easier? I mean, what's the best route now? Is it a big cartel? Is it an Etsy? I mean, Etsy's popular, but there's the...
Yeah, I bought a Etsy today. I think either Etsy or big cartel that you can do it through that coffee one.
Yeah.
I bought a T-shirt off Dan Charlie this week from one of those coffee
ones.
Love Dan's work.
Yeah. Great T-shirt. Yeah.
If you drop your comic with a couple of pages in this the place we can get it from, you're doing yourself.
But what are we talking about in
eBay stores people use as well.
Okay.
I've seen that. I saw that again today. People do just sell stuff on eBay.
What their own stuff through eBay?
Yeah. What's the one, the Scottish comic? You and I read it, Dan.
Church of Hell.
No, it's about 2 brothers or twins who are like rough and tumble Scottish kids. You remember it looked a bit like Cliff Cumber's work. Yeah, I really liked it. I'm sorry, it's escaping my mind. But he sells his stuff on eBay.
Okay, wow. I hadn't considered that.
No. That's interesting.
Because that's you're only paying on listing fee, like sales fees. You don't have to run a store.
On eBay. So in terms of fees, then, like just to break it down, I like this because I'm sort of learning at the same time, and there may be some. I mean, the hidden costs that people don't necessarily know about when they're going into these sort of things as well. And costs are always something that no one wants to think about as a creator, but we need to think about, don't we? Whether it be cost of printing. And we always talk about the cost of printing, the cost of the artwork, the cost of hiring people to do work, blah, blah, blah. But then there's the cost of the upkeep of the store.
Yeah.
The
big cartel for me is $10 a month.
Yeah. So do you think, like, when you're budgeting, like, your comics or what you're going to do over the year, you put aside money for that?
What's this budget you speak of?
Mary Boys, sorry.
Mary Boys.
Mary Boys. Yeah. I remember you talking about it. Yeah.
Good comic. Yeah.
I've got fucking hundreds of pounds sitting in stock in my cupboard of comics.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Just...
By the way, side note, buy our books.
Yeah, I was chatting to Valpy earlier, and he was saying, because we're obviously raw dogging our table, as we do.
Excellent.
And I said, well, we can have a table, and then we can sort of wander off and go and sit in the green room, chat to Madeline Smith, Wendy Padbury, can't we? And he said, why don't we just leave a tray, like an honesty tray on the table?
Yeah.
We might do now.
Just do an honesty tray and then draw some eyes saying we're watching.
Yeah, it's a video camera on the table. We'll leave it at that.
Get on.
Yeah.
I reckon, well, we're an interesting social experiment.
Yeah.
I'd like to think the comics crowd are quite on the up and up and they wouldn't fuck you over, but
it's brilliant to know, isn't it?
It's current year, isn't it? So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Probably come back to a blaze.
Have you been to Bridlington? Yeah. It'd be on fire and there'd be a sausage on there or something. Yeah.
But, like, Dan, you say you pay, like, £10 for your big cartel.
Yeah.
That's 120 quid over the year.
Yeah.
That's something that if you're going to make your comics, well, even if they're just like, oh, I'm making these little zines for nothing and I want to have an online store to sell them, you've got all the goodwill in the world, but you're still going to be spending £120 a year just to have them available to people. That's just the way it is now, isn't it? Don't you think? I think
that's like a Netflix or Disney Plus subscription, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So if you do want an online store and you're not sure about whether you can afford it, just get rid of Now TV.
Get rid of Disney. It's part of shit.
Disney is shite.
We won't get into that. But I think eventually I'll bite the bullet when I've got something worth selling.
You got Black, haven't you? Got Black to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, you could set up a store, do the 4 items. That's free.
Yeah.
4 listings are free.
Then the thing is, you got 4 listings, right?
Yeah.
So possibly that's 2 titles, isn't it?
Yeah, because you got a digital and
because you got a digital and a physical, isn't it? If you're going to,
if you want to go,
you got
down
to think
that
about that. Yeah, you got to think about that, haven't you? Because then immediately you've used up your 4, and just say you've just got. Maybe you've got some prints. Maybe you've got a pack of prints or whatever. That's one thing, isn't it? You got
OA from that issue as well.
You can always try and see what you like before, and if it's doing numbers, you think, okay, maybe I want the paid version. If it doesn't, you just stick with that. And say you've got 4 comics, one sells out, you remove it and put another one on, or do a special offer for a week and then change it the next week and do a special offer on another title.
Okay. One final question before we move on to what you're going to ask us, Dan, to both of you. And this is just in general, like with the cost, the maintenance, the upkeep, or whatever you're doing for your online stores, with your book sales and everything else, is it worth it?
I just kind of feel obligated to do it. I don't know why.
Okay.
I just like. I've said it before. I'm not fucking bothered if people buy them or not. I'd rather just I'd give them away. Don't care.
I'd want to get I want to get the comics in people's hands. Like just try and make back some of the money I've sunk into it. But it's not like I'm fucking laying in bed at night thinking, oh God, I've got to sell these fucking comics, otherwise I'm on the fucking dole tomorrow or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like that for me. That money's spent.
But I mean, having an online store does not necessarily mean that you're going to shift that box of comics in your cupboard. No. Hopefully you do. Hopefully.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like
but
how much you want to put yourself out there. It kind of I find it hard balancing the pushing the social media aspect when I'm more interested in the making of the comic.
The social media aspect, the Twitter aspect ain't going to sell you many books.
No.
The appearing on here, you might sell maybe 5 or 6 more books than you would normally. Maybe a bit more. Depending on how enthusiastic we are about your comic, but there's very few things that are going to get people rushing to your online store more than are anyway.
It's like you must have kind of a full-time fucking job audience. Jerry Oliveira style kind of.
Of which we may be questioning him more about his journey, because it is building an audience, isn't it? And and that is not building an audience is not an overnight success. It is the long game. It is chipping away, because every new person you talk to outside your bubble that comes to your convention table could potentially be a long-term buyer of your books. I mean, Tony, with Tribute, you've had people come to your table probably that have got nothing to do with this show, nothing to do with anything else, sight unseen. They've bought a copy of your comics. Oh, I like this sort of stuff. And now, if they see you, they'll buy those books. Those people are hugely important, aren't they?
Yeah, massively important to us. Yeah, that's the thing. I think firstly build your audience, but most importantly, secondly build your audience, but most importantly make a good comic.
Yeah.
That's what's most important to me, man.
I agree.
And make a comic
I mean?
that you're proud of and not going to truly tire of selling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and don't be a shallow fucking salesman. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
got to be more one of this
You'll turn
sort of
off
like look at this, I made this. I think you'll really enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. And
There's like almost like an inverse fucking effect for me that the more I see you talk up your own comic online, the less I realise how good it is, and the more I realise how it's going to be shit. Rather, it's like people going, "Oh, 6 out of 7, 6 out of 5 on fucking comicblah.com," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck off."
Yeah,
I
tell you what, at the moment, and also it's a muscle that you have to keep using, that sort of the convention table sort of thing. Like with Tribute, you're doing it.
Yeah, we're more.
I'd be shit if I was at a convention right now. I'd be bricking it, and I'd have a mouthful of porridge for the whole fucking weekend.
I have two different salespeople. There's two different salespeople in me. There's when I work for No Brow, I'm like up on my feet, chatting, not pushing books on people, but just chatting to people and selling comics. When I'm doing it for Tribute, me and fucking Falpy sit there with dark glasses on, talking to each other and not giving two fucks about anyone in the world. And that is something I'm rather proud of. Yeah, most of the time we're off trying to chat women up. That's how it works.
Jesus
Him succeeding much better than me.
Jesus Christ.
I've done like quite a few customer service roles, so whenever
Here we go.
Whenever I'm on the con, I haven't tabled in years. It's usually I just go into customer service mode, like you're right there, how you doing, blah 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 blah, and not hard selling. You just kind of.
I hate that hard selling so much.
Yeah.
I know part of it is because we're English British, but it's so painful. I just find it eats me away hearing someone going, "Excuse me, sir, I love your hat. Can I sell you this comic?" Fuck you.
I don't want
to
give my comic or someone's comic to someone I don't think will enjoy it. Yeah. And then they walk away, feel like, oh, fucking, why'd I buy that? I don't want to buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of pressure me.
Yeah.
Don't need those bad vibes, man.
No, we're all about the good vibes on this show, even though sometimes we rant like a bunch of grumpy old men.
My question, I'm not sure it's so relevant because the thing I was watching was about film posters and film poster design. Okay. And I thought, I wonder if I could switch this around to comics, but I don't think it works as much. But can you think back your favorite comic book cover of all time?
Of all time?
Of all time.
Oh,
no,
that is God.
It doesn't have to be the most definitive answer ever. Like we'll lock you in on it.
As a kid, I loved the Superman versus Spider-Man cover.
Okay, yeah, on the radio tower thing.
Yeah,
and,
that's
don't need to think about it too much, V. Just
I mean, the one that springs to mind is, it's the classic. It's the X-Men #1.
Nice. Well, they're all dashing forwards.
Oh, yeah.
But that one's almost.
No, you mean the Jim Lee one?
The Jim Lee one, yeah.
Oh, the Jim Lee one. Okay.
Yeah. No, the Jim Lee one, which is a bit of a cheeky answer because they got about 6 or 7 fucking covers out of that when they chopped it up.
All right, and so following question.
What about you?
I love the Spider-Man, the black and white with the symbiote suit. When it's just black and white and he's flipping.
Oh yeah, on the all the windows. We spoke about that on one of our cover episodes, didn't we? Yeah.
Can never remember the number of it. But what's your most?
That's John Byrne, if I remember correctly. I think was it a John Byrne cover?
I think so.
Yeah.
Your most recent favorite cover?
Oh, why'd you say that? We've got a fucking fave covers of the week fucking thing, and I like.
What this video essay was trying to point out was like when you go back and ask people what their favorite movie posters were, they'd pick out certain things like Night of the Living Dead, Alien, all these ones. And the more modern art of doing movie posters is gone away from this storytelling thing towards actors and
it's an art. A movie poster art is like something I absolutely adore, and it is something that has died off. So a lot of the time that you find these retro sort of artists doing their own thing and doing these amazing posters, they're not official. They
used to get if you get homage covers from comics, it's always homage in films that are like fucking 20, 30 years old because the more modern films are just kind of like, what the fuck is that? But would you think that the comics have moved away from kind of storytelling covers of like,
that
this is what you're going to
emotional
get in the
impact of a storytelling cover. I love it. We need word balloons back on covers. I'm going to get you. It's all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like all that because I like the storytelling element of a cover, and it's.
I mean,
it's disingenuous to me.
I think there's a difference between. I'm the same. I love storytelling covers. I think storytelling covers work better for the big two books like the Marvel and the DC, those sort of titles. But there are some covers that I absolutely love, like more in the indie publishers or the small press or something like that. Maybe it's a mini-series for a horror book, for instance. And usually the horror books usually stick with me.
Conan's always fucking,
Conan's got
some of those modern the Dan Panosian Conan.
Yeah, they're
covers.
good.
But some of these indie covers, they're not necessarily stories, but they evoke the feeling of that.
What you're going to get.
What you're going to get. I mean, like take for instance, a Department of Truth. If we're going to talk something like that, those sort of covers are always like you kind of know. And
if you're getting that book, you kind of know what you're getting from that cover.
Yeah.
Oh mate, that cover is a man called Nova. That's in How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Oh, is it? So that's the man called Nova issue 12, where he's confronting
face
Spider-Man.
to face with Spider-Man. Yeah,
they break that cover down.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I find with a lot of I mean, certainly I love a design cover like what was the John McCrae one I picked out this week? Is it Dead Eyes? Is that
Dead Eyes? Yeah, the thing with Joe Duggan.
Yeah. That's got a beautiful sort of. It's like a solid red cover, but he's running along with a painting and he's in black and white. I love that. I've stepped into more of a designy mode with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But when you were talking about covers that recently I've loved, for me it's the ones that probably the book's like several months old or something like that. But there's a cover that just lives in my brain. There's
definite. There's like taste between mine and Vince's and Tony's. Our ones are a lot more. We go for more stronger graphical elements.
Yeah. You can tell the graphic designers in you, can't you? Yeah. Mine would tend to be Vampirella with her boobs out.
Yeah. Or the Fantastic Four. Or something like that. There's you like an Alex Ross sort of Fantastic Four, don't you?
I mean, let's carry on shitting on Exceptional X-Men. Whatever the fuck it is. That cover is fucking terrible.
Massively unrepresentative of the interiors as well.
Yeah.
They should have just had fucking a picture of Kitty Pryde sitting on the settee, just like
having it watching TV,
looking at a phone or something. Yeah.
That'd
have been more accurate.
The covers that I thought of though, Dan, when you said about like recent covers that I like, and they are horror based, which is sort of fitting as we get into that sort of time of year. There is a book that I've read on Global Comics. I didn't read it at the time, called The Autumnal. It's like a folk horror. You've probably seen the cover.
Is that one with the face and
the face, and there's all these like vines sort of heading towards them. That image just stays with me. I love that cover, and the book's all right. I think if you, I need to give it another reread. My head wasn't in it when I first read it, but there was an issue of The Plot. Remember that horror book, The Plot? It was another one as well where there was someone sort of looking up and it looked like they were sinking into water and there was all these like claws coming out near their face. Something about like people almost drowning in water there.
What was the one that you two liked recently of the woman's head coming out of the water? What was that? It was a bit of an homage of.
Oh God, that was. Was that in one of
the
is something killing the?
It's not something killing the children, is it? That's
no, it's an homage of the Apocalypse Now image of the person in the water. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
As we said, all the Get Fury covers have been great.
Oh yeah,
they've been stand out.
Yes,
It's weird that these people now, and the same could be said of Cassady. Actually, there's a lot of people just doing covers now.
Yeah,
aren't there?
Yeah.
I guess it's where the money is.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They kind of realised that people that come in for the cover.
Yeah, so they're getting the hardcore eyes to do the two covers.
And then they open it up and they're like, whoa.
Yeah. Which is why it's frustrating sometimes when you see a beautiful piece of art and then they just stuck some words over the top of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're bound to have
that's a different topic for a different time.
That's another topic.
Another thing I saw, there was a poll in one of those creator groups on Facebooks, and they were like saying, why don't you use thought bubbles in your comics anymore? And I thought, right, let's see how this goes. And virtually 9 out of 10 of them were, they're out of date, don't use anymore. They're not needed anymore. And I was like, mate, this is one of the tools in the toolbox.
Yeah.
Thought bubbles that your comics can do and no one else can.
Is everyone just ignoring narration, self-narration?
Well,
maybe.
No, but I think what's happened is the thought bubble has morphed into a box.
The dialogue
box. It's a
in
narrative,
but
we call them like the monologue boxes, which are in every fucking comic now.
But that's the strain because it's only
that's
from
the thought
one
bubble. That is essentially what it is.
Just from one person.
It's just from one person. Yeah.
I think it's the influence of film on comics.
I agree, totally.
Yeah. It's a shame
something
because
comics to do that film really can't. And find difficult to do. Yeah.
I think probably the thought, like those sort of thought bubbles and stuff, they're still kept alive with a lot of probably a lot more comedy comics. Do you know what I mean? Or some more visual stuff like that. You know, some of the smaller underground. You know, they use some more visual things with a thought bubble, don't they? Really?
I think thought bubbles could work in movies. I think if you had that, what people are thinking during porn films, I think that would be a great idea.
I always go to June when you got that kind of whisper of them what they're thinking. That's like, let's bring June. We haven't had a June reference in a
while.
Yeah,
June reference. Yeah. Mark out your bingo cards.
Dealt within the novel, you know. Good.
Yes, but there you go. Oh, God, a lot of different topics talked about this week, and wow, doesn't the time fly, gents?
Yeah.
Right then, on with the rest of the show. Do we have any shout-outs this week, gents? Dan, I believe you said you have quite a big one. List, I mean.
But we Tony told me to remind him of this, the 500.
Okay, but what were you meant to remind me?
You're going to remind me about the free entry.
Well done. Yeah, so the 500th episode is going to be a live event, free to entry. Front or back door.
I will say, right, hang on. I will say, and I'm not going to cut any of this out. Right, in terms of professionalism, this is fucking awful.
Awful.
Let's start again. The live 500th episode is free to enter. It's all booked up Saturday the 25th of January 2025 from 12 noon at the Marquis of Cornwallis pub in their upstairs function room at 31 Marchmont Street, London, near the Comic Mart. So nearest tube is Russell Square. You can walk there from Tottenham Court Road, Euston, King's Cross, very near, very central. There'll be events. We're going to be doing a live podcast. We've got sort of plans to have an auction, which is being run by the Don. And if you're on the Slack, you can go and speak to him and donate something for that as well. But it's all free and everyone is welcome. I think they're the two most important points about it.
Yeah.
So do come along. My other one is on the 4th of October, all the way through into 2025, is Stephen Appleby's exhibition called Nothing is Real. We're friends with Stephen. Opening at Space Station 65 in Kennington, London. Go and have a look at that. Look up Space Station 65 on Instagram and you'll find it. Got a lovely note sketch from him today saying, please come along or I will kill you, which is very kind of him.
But along
there you go. Yeah, exactly. Over to you, Daniel.
The September draw off, the Supetember, is rolling on great. It's an interesting one because all the previous months have been like draw X, Y, and Z. This one's based on more a creativity thing of like you've got to come up with an idea based on a prompt, and you get like a flip a coin where they're going to be a hero or a villain and go from there. So it's kind of stretching those creative muscles. So well done to all those involved with that. Fist of the North Star, Hoto no Kin, 40 years old today.
Wow.
When it first got published. So that's having a big celebration on today. And in doing so, me and Mike, we put out a comic called Fist of the Fierce Dawn, which is like a spiritual successor to the original series. And you can read that comic on Mike.
Why haven't we seen this? Why haven't you sent it to me?
Because I've got printed versions of them.
Right.
Sent out to you. They haven't turned up yet.
Nice
yeah,
one. Oh, thank you, mate. Cheers.
So I wanted you to look at the printed versions before you see the digital.
Okay. There you go.
They're winging their way too. So if you want to look at the digital version, I'll drop it on the socials and in the Slack and stuff. But it's mikemarshall.wixsite.com/Fist of the Fierce Dawn.
Mike's always reposting us. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, he's a ledge. So we've got Kickstarter wise, we've got the Third Bear Press book, which we've got 22 days to go. That could do a bit of love. It's Sycamore by Kay Briggs, short, mostly autobiographical comics by Kay Briggs. Go check that out. That's for Small Bear Press. We've got what else we got? Faster Than Light Anthology, which I've got a comic in with Alan and Ben Lisker for this Fast and Light, a sci-fi anthology about family in a fast-paced, futuristic world. How do families of origin and found families stay connected? That's actually blitzed its goal. We've got another couple of weeks on that one too, so go check that out. We've got Spaceboy and the Future King. Remember that one all the way from last week's show?
So long ago.
Young Arthur and his strange new apprentice, UFOs, dragons, and the 5th century Batman. Go check that out. Again, that's smash for his target. Nice one, Rory. You can go back to last week's show and find out all about that. We've got oh god, there's a few more. Let me just hold on. Very professional on this show, as we've demonstrated time and again. And that one's ended, so I'm not going to be shouting that one out. So yeah. But yeah, as just to back up what Tony said before, if you're interested in giving up some of your books, art, anything really for the or comic related for the book raffle or
charity book raffle,
charity book raffle, the Don Richard the Don Sheaf, go look on our Slack and there's a 500 channel. You can put it in there, and that'll be slowly rolling on from now till the day.
I've tried to. There's a 500 channel on the Slack. I've tried to sort of think who's going to be coming, who's shown an interest, but just join it. You don't have to come along on the day. If you want to join it, just come along and join it.
We will also. There will be a merch store opening soon that will have some t-shirts. Maybe there'll be some t-shirts that you can order and wear on the day, and if you can't make it, maybe some t-shirts you can wear just to support the show. So stay tuned. We'll
pay for our caviar lifestyle.
We're trying to pay for some of the fees of that day, running that day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be out of pocket.
Yeah. This indie podcast runs just like
perfect planning by us.
Just like an indie comic, we're just trying to make the money wherever we can. Tony, do you have any other shout-outs?
No, that's me.
Oh, well. Then I guess it's time to recommend some comics to you lovely people. Tony, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so you did that just as I picked up my cup of coffee there, didn't you? So my first one is called Her Frankenstein, which I've shown everyone the cover of, by Kawashima Norikazu. It's 180 pages. It's a manga out of a smaller imprint. So it was originally published in Japan in what is seen as the last days of a big horror boom from the early 80s onwards. I think this was published in 88. Junji Ito's a massive fan of this book. His career kind of takes off from that point onwards. Norikazu is a really interesting fella, and it's been rediscovered by Ryan Holmberg, who's a character we've spoken about quite a few times. Ryan, he does a lot of the translation. He works quite a lot with Bubbles. He's had a couple of books out himself, but he's got an imprint now with Living the Line, who is a book publisher we've spoken about a few times in the past. Called Smudge. The imprint is called Smudge, and what he's trying to do is showcase forgotten classics, mostly in the area of pulp and horror, dark mystery kind of area. The story of this one, as usual, Japanese horror is completely unrelatable and totally fresh. It's unlike anything that the boring cliches that we see over here. But this adopts the storytelling style in a way of what Stephen King does. Well, Stephen King does this thing where he has the characters as young people and then he has them as adults.
Yeah.
We've seen it in a few things. He does that a little bit. So there's this kid who's called Tetsuo, obviously the best manga name ever. And he's now a businessman in Tokyo. And we open with him in a car. And he's lamenting the death of his boss, which I think is unrelated, but it falls into some of the themes. When he looks in the back seat and there's a hooded person in there, a hooded woman, and he can't see her face. And it really starts getting to him, and he starts seeing this character more and more. And his wife's just getting pissed off with him. So he goes in to see a shrink who pushes him and helps him to remember. And he has a real breakthrough while he's with this shrink, and he remembers, and that's when you get the flashback. He remembers when he was a kid. He grew up in a little seaside town, not urban Tokyo or anything like that. And he was a scrawny kid, a weak kid, and his dad picks on him for not standing up to bullies. And he just feels real outsider. His family has another kid after him, and that pushes him even further from the home. And he wanders the countryside during the day, and he comes across this sort of beautiful, rich girl who walks with a cane, and she's quite horrible to him. I mean, as with a lot of manga horror, nobody in this is nice. You know, I kind of like that about their.
Yeah.
We don't have to have that relatable hero or anything like that in it. And she's obsessed with. She's very manipulative with him, but she's obsessed with Frankenstein, and she shows in this picture she's made a Frankenstein. And to impress her, he goes and makes a Frankenstein mask. And she encourages him to be more and more horrible to the local kids with this mask on. It's not super gory. There's a little bit of blood here and there's some death and stuff.
Is it more like atmospheric and like?
It's more.
Usually there's a sense of dread. I find there's that with a lot of manga stuff, isn't it? Dread's very pervasive.
I think because it predates Ito, which is kind of a lot of people followed from Ito, didn't they? And the stuff, there's other stuff, the classroom stuff and other thing. But that
Drifting Classroom is fucking mental.
That is very strange, isn't it? Yeah. This is just like.
There's going to be a surge in that with the Netflix animated series of.
Is there something coming?
Spiral, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's another fucking crazy.
That's going to be mental. A lot of people are going to be talking about that when that animation comes out, I think.
So something tragic happens with this girl, and so he remembers that she dies, and she is this character. So she is this ghostly undead figure who follows him around, and he gets tied up in the mask again. And we flash backwards and forwards between the young him and the old him. And something happens right at the end, which is a bit like they kind of riff on, when all the townsfolk surround Frankenstein in the original movie with torches and stuff. This happens to this kid with this mask on. But it's almost like, Dog Day Afternoon, where they're going, Ithaca, that sort of thing. It's almost like they're kind of cheering him on. But he's holding the body of this child over his head.
Hell.
It's just fucking weird.
That's a monstrous fucking sort of image in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very strange. So it has all these themes. So there's this dynamic clash between sexes. There's this outsider thing going on. There's jealousy, selfishness, aggression, abuse, coercion, murder, regrets, memory, PTSD. There's this sort of thing going. What is now called PTSD, but it's very well done. It's a modern manga in a way from the 80s, but there's certain elements of you feel that are slightly medieval and stuff, and very strange. There's a sort of haunted house quality to some of it as well. And he's an interesting guy because he worked briefly with Tezuka at his animation studio. There's a big essay in the back of this. Holmberg has traced him through his career, and he says the only evidence you can find that he worked for Tezuka was this time he spent credited on a couple of the movies that came out of the animation studio. But you can see Tezuka in his work.
Right.
You really can. And you can see Ito again coming out of his work. Less visually experimental than Ito, less scratchy. I think Ito isn't often who we think he's going to be. I mean, I'd heard people talk about Ito for years before I opened an Ito book, and it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't. Junji Ito almost feels a bit underground to me, looking at his work. In everyone, as I say, everyone is angry as well as unlikable, and with manga we get this sort of manga and anime. People dash to emotion, don't they? Yeah. They're quick to change emotion. You get a lot of that. As I say, the text piece in the back is just brilliant, and that uses a lot of old Japanese covers of the Takaban that he had his stories in and stuff like that. He gave up on comics, this dude. He just, at the end of it, he said, no, I'm not making it. He clearly didn't make enough money. He said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. And this is like, manga guys, we hear about them, they're like drawing, 12 hours, 20 hours a day. Yeah. Like, just want to be in comics, And he'd done some comics, which these days would be considered, brilliant. And I actually put that up there with some sort of Tezuka weirdness and more Tezuka adult stuff. But he just said, no, I'm not making it. I'm not doing it. So he moved to the countryside, got a Joe Public job, married, and spent the rest of his time fishing before he died.
Fuck me.
Incredible.
What a strange turn of events. They kind of...
Yeah. I'm hoping that Holmberg and this Smudge imprint will do some more of his books. There's a great one called The Girl Who Returned from the Grave. You can see there's this thing with females in his stuff, and The Mother and the Decapitated Head from 1987. So I'd recommend it. It's been out for a while. I've seen it on the shelves at Gosh, but I unfortunately ordered it through Amazon. So I don't know if you've ever had this. You see things in comic shops and then they don't come through an Amazon for another 2 months or something. And I'm thinking, what's happened to that book? but eventually it came through. So yeah, very good. Her Frankenstein, Kawashima Norikazu from Smudge Comics. There you go. My first one.
Nice. I've actually got a Junji Ito book that Tom bought me for my birthday that I've had sitting on the back burner.
Oh, which one's that?
I can't recall which one it is, but it's sitting on the back burner ready for Halloween. I was like, I'm going to save that for Halloween.
Nice. Halloween, some exciting. The month of October might be very exciting for all you horror comic creators and lovers out there. So
we get Elvira on.
Oh, that'd be
great. I think she loves comics anyway.
Loves me.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Thank you.
I'll jump in next with a little catch up on some issues, some series that I've been reading. My continuing adventures of these series, less so issue ones this time. I'm just going to have a quick scattershot rundown of some of the ones I've been reading. I picked up EC Cruel Universe issue 2. I was talking about how much I enjoyed the first one of the sci-fi series that is being put out by who is it? Is it Fantagraphics? But I can't remember who's putting that out now. God bless me. God damn me.
No, I can't remember either.
But Cruel Universe, still enjoyable. Not as I was glowing about the first issue. Second issue's still high quality. It's an anthology, so you're gonna like some stories more than others. But I enjoy this series a lot more than Epitaphs from the Abyss, which is the horror one. I gave that a shot, and it just wasn't for me. I wasn't really that impressed with it. It seemed like the sci-fi book was landing its hooks a little more, and even if it's a sci-fi book, it's still got some horror elements to it. So it was just, don't know. It's sometimes when they try doing old EC type tales in the horror genre for a modern audience, it doesn't always stick. For me personally.
A lot of people see EC as being old-fashioned as well. They're wrong, but they do see it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why the first issue of Cruel Universe had that tempo and feel of like the EC, but with a modern sort of slant to it, which is why I enjoyed it. Plastic, Death and Dolls, been continuing that series by Doug Wagner and co. Still loving that. It's still fucking mental, gory, and people having their heads hacked off and put in fridges. That's good fun. Remote Space by Cliff Rathburn. That's coming to. There's only one issue I got left of this. So I just I've read the first 3 issues. Glorious artwork wise, just absolutely stunning. The design and everything. Because of the pacing of it, I'm not sure if issue 4 is just going to be a sudden stop. It feels like it's such an epic sci-fi tale that possibly it needs another 10 issues to tell the story. And that's,
was it always destined to be 4 issues, or was it?
I don't know. It seems to be a passion project he's wanted to do for years, but the storytelling has a certain pace to it. And it feels a very deliberate pace, but because it's telling such a big story, I'm pretty sure it's only 4 issues, but it just feels like there should be more. I get a bit concerned about some pacing of some miniseries, which also leads into a book that I'm still enjoying Remote Space. I'm going to finish. I'm going to buy all of the issues individually because I want to see how it plays out. Because I've enjoyed them so far, and it's just a gorgeous. Cliff Rathburn is a fucking beast of an artist.
Oh,
if you don't
mate,
know who he is,
so good.
Just fucking, he's amazing. He's an inker. He does it all. In terms of pacing, Get Fury. I'm up to date with. I've read all of the issues.
That was my favourite issue for a while. Is it the 4th has just come out? Is it
the 5th issue? The 5th has just come out.
I thought the 4th issue was a bit of a filler one to me, but the 5th one brought me back in.
This is an interesting one for me. I am absolutely loving it. It's the only Marvel book I'm ordering, and looks wonderful. Just the writing's stellar. In terms of that pacing, there's 1 issue left.
Yeah,
and I'm very interested to see how that last issue plays out.
The cover for me of that next issue kind of says it all.
Because it feels like I'm not quite sure what I'm going to get with this. This 5th issue was the first time I was sort of like, oh, is this going to land as well as I hope? I mean, obviously, I have faith in this team. But
there's a lot of setup, so there's a lot of stuff to be resolved in that last issue.
There's a lot to be resolved in essentially like 20, 24 pages.
When he's walking through that prison, I love that. It's just like massive confidence.
Yeah.
Big dick energy from Frank Castle.
And when you see Fury, you're like, fuck.
And like Jason Burrows for me is a fucking revelation in that book. Like,
it's the best he's ever been. I think.
Yeah.
And the colour really works.
Frank
I always used to see him
Castle
as a black and white eyes.
His Frank Castle is both a human being and a figure of like fear. Like he does these wonderful scenes where you see a lot of Frank's eyes, and he looks like a man, doesn't he? Rather than like the myth and the legend. He, obviously he's a badass sort of commando in this book. But you see a lot of his eyes, like because Jason Burrows draws eyes, doesn't he? There's a lot of facial acting going on. But then when it works for me, when I think that's a Punisher moment, is Jason Burrows does these where Frank just sort of moves into shadow and his eyes disappear and there's just black shadows, and you just think, there's the fucking killer. Do you know what I mean? It's just so good. There's
bits in the first issue where he's like, he's sitting in one of the bases, one of the fire bases.
He's got the hat on with the shadow.
And the shadow.
Oh yeah.
But there's all like the shadow, but then like under whatever Frank's eyes is black, black. And it's like he's got one of his teammates there, and like even he knows not to fuck around.
Yeah.
When Frank's saying something.
It's... it's just very good, and and I'm continuing, like for instance, The Hunger in the Dusk. It's just continuing to be good. So there's lots.
I'm a little behind on that.
I've got a few series on the go. They all seem to be mini-series a lot of the time.
Everything's a mini-series now, man.
Yeah. And the thing is, with a mini-series, if I've bought a couple of issues, 2 or 3 issues, there's part of me that feels like I've got to see it through to the end now, haven't I? Do you know what I mean? Because, I'm
always, if I get a couple and this is really good, it's like, I would just want to save it for the trade.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a couple of these I double dip on. I mean, Get Fury's going to join my.
I'll tell you what you should get on. Plastic Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes.
Really good. Get on that.
Yeah. So those are my sort of quick draw catch up on some of the titles that I've gone back to rather than discovering this week. Dan, what have you got?
I've got 2. The first one's going to be the Grendel, the Devil's Crucible Defiance.
Oh yeah, you've been reading all of this, haven't you?
Yeah. So there's only 4 issues. So I got 2 and 3 came through in one drop. It's such a great series. It can it's caught me off guard a couple of times because it's obviously Matt Wagner and Brennan Wagner. I'm not sure who does the art. Give me a second.
Matt does the art. Brennan does the colours.
Right. Yes, of course. Some of the content, like you think, okay, I'm getting this kind of story, and then it will get fucking dark really quickly, and you're like, bloody hell. So the Grendel Primes come back down from space 500 plus years after he left, and Earth's completely changed. I've mentioned this before on the show, but it's now run by the Necrolords, and essentially they're vampires, and you either live in one of these vampire cities where you've got all the luxuries, you can do whatever you want, food, water, but at any time one of these vampires can kind of feast on you. They don't kill you, but you've got that hanging over you all the time. Or you can live out in the wastelands where you're free, but life's a fucking daily struggle to stay alive and get fed. And there's a moment where a family wants admittance into one of these towers because they can't hack it on the outside anymore, and they have to give up one of their kids permanently, like it's killed on the spot. And it's like, oh God, you move from like this kind of sort of an adventure story where the Grendel Prime's kicking ass of these raiders, and then you get to this moral quandary where these 2 parents have to sacrifice the youngest, their 5 kids, to this vampire.
Not a problem, is it? They got 4 others, haven't they?
Yeah. But it's got such a power in the story. It's really, really strong. Really, really enjoying it. It's great to see this kind of that morally unencumbered character like Grendel Prime, where he's on his mission to do the right thing in this world of fucking degeneracy, and it's all fucking horrible. And he's sort of like got his one path that he's going down. Have you've seen it kind of before, where they're almost like not a lot of dialogue, just the fucking engine doing what they're going to do, and it's so readable.
Are these sort of books and these sort of titles? Are they? Is it one of those? It's like a Mad Max take on You know, that kind of thing. It's like it's a mad world. You know, you're a bad person, but in this world, you're the best person of a bad lot.
Sort of, yeah. It's very, very much like that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorites is Grendel Warchild, and I presume that's going to be on the Global Comics.
I think so. Yeah.
That is when that was in Dark Horse Presents, or we used to get the reprints over here in the UK.
Yeah.
And they were running that one a week, or bits of that a week. It was like, oh man, love that, and then went straight onto the US sites and just got all 10 of it. It's annoying because they've republished them recently. I bought my one off of eBay for like a princely sum for the trade. And they did a reprint, which is like, okay, got fucked on that.
Yeah,
but,
nice. Yeah. Did you say you had another one, Dan? Or is
I do, yeah. I've been in talking with Boo Rudetoons at Rudetoons on Instagram, or at Boo Rudetoons on Twitter, and he sent me through some of his comics, and I've got sent one through right here, and I've read it today.
What's it called?
Absolutely fucking. I'm just getting to the title now. It's called Blackbird, first trade, and Blackbird sets out on a quest for vengeance when her sister was attacked and left in a coma, but to get to the culprit means kicking a lot of arse. So I was like, okay, I know he's a UK creator, but using arse instead of ass. She does the kind of the Kill Bill route of going to a martial arts master, gets trained up, and then just goes off on a rampage going after the people who killed her sister. It's kind of, I can only equate to the story's kind of like a bit like comic jazz, in as much that it's quite freeform and flowing. It's going one way and then it kind of changes, does something else, takes a little aside to make some comments, and then we're back into action. It's a really fun read because I couldn't tell where it was going. I was gripped. Large amounts of TNA all the way through, which was like, had to approve of, obviously.
But the draftsmanship's something else. Like, from what we've seen of this.
Oh, it's absolutely lovely. The artwork, the way it's drawn.
There's an audience for the book. There is an audience for the book, but just
lovely sort of like spot blacks, great energy and movement, female form just done to a fucking T. Action sequences are spot on. Really, really enjoyed it. Can't wait to read more of
so that's Boo Rudetoons.
BOORUDETOONS. Boo Rudetoons.
Nice.
And if you just put Boo Rudetoons into Google, you'll get the whole host of where to find their work. Do go check it out. It was great.
Nice. Tony, you ready to finish us off?
Yeah, so my last one is Wolf and Batsy issue 1. We Have No Home, part 1. Black and white. Well, actually, I did the first 2 issues, but I'm just going to talk about I actually read the first 4 issues, but I'm going to just talk about the first one. It's written and drawn by Brian Baugh, Baugh. It's some of his self-published comics. I think later on they got picked up by Alterna, but this is currently on Global Comics just under his name at the moment. It does that brilliant thing of dropping you into the action. We always talk about that, don't we? It drops you into the action straight away. It opens in a chase scene through the countryside, and a werewolf is chasing one of those classic Hammer horror style farm girls.
Nice.
And it's kind of set back then in a way. Just as he's about to kill her, from out of the darkness comes a female vampire, a la Vampirella, kind of black eyeliner, dark hair, low cut top kind of thing going on, and tells him, look, calm down, go, and sends him on his way. The girl realizes there's something up. She's like, well, what's going on there? How did you do that? So the vampire woman, Batsy, uses her hypnotic powers and puts her to sleep. And they get in the car, and the werewolf is called Kevin with a C. I don't know what that is. And he changes back from a werewolf into a man. And they end up getting a shitty hotel room. And they talk about the situation. They're not doing that well. They're in trouble. The werewolf is just eating goats and cows, and they're not really satisfying him. And Batsy has a little vial of blood, not like that, has a little vial of blood that she drops into the water, and she goes under the water with this sort of blood film and sleeps in there. And Kevin pops out to just clear his head, really, and wanders about in the town. And of course, he gets in the shit, doesn't he? Someone goes, hang on a minute, who are you? You're a stranger. There's a werewolf in town, blah, blah, blah. And it all kind of kicks off again. Now, this leads into this ongoing. I think they really keeps the energy up. He really keeps the motion of the story going. And it's rare these days. I get to the end of issue 1, I think, nah, fuck it, I've got to read issue 2 now. So I went through and I read quite a few issues. Lovely cartooning style, black and white. Did you look at this, Vince? Did you ever look at this one?
I've looked at it a bit. I need to read it properly because it looks up my street. This looks
really nice
really
storytelling.
Yeah,
and it's got that sort of classic J-Bone kind of, almost like Scooby-Doo but black and white. It's got a feeling of that.
Okay.
A little bit rougher, a little bit edgier than that. Part EC, maybe part The Goon, Eric Powell. A little bit of that going on. Lovely work. And I think issue 2, there's a lovely chase through the woods, and he uses a lot of silhouette and shadow amongst the trees. You know, the moon is shining through the trees. And I guarantee you won't stop reading at the end of issue 1. The cover to issue 2 is probably my favourite cover. Talking about covers there, I should have mentioned this, but so the covers, I sent them through to you on the email.
Yeah, they look great. Yeah,
lovely. The story opens with a werewolf ripping his way through a hunting party. Issue 3,
nice,
just brilliant. Yeah, that's what you want from werewolf. And there's kind of a who are the real monsters thing going on, but it's not banging you on the head with it. You just kind of like them, so you relate to them, and then you're tired of them getting chased all the time. And then when he has to, he goes a bit over the top, the werewolf. But give it a go. It's from Global Comics. It was just a sort of pleasant read. Because we recorded a bit early this week, I was just going to do one, and I was sort of reading this for pleasure, and I thought, I've got to mention this. It's called Wolf, W-U-L-F, Wolf and Batsy. It's on Global Comics at the moment.
Anytime you read for pleasure, it is never a bad thing.
No,
that's what it's all about.
No.
You know, because we're all about reading comics, and you've got to have fun reading comics. And we hope you are having fun reading your comics, and we hope you had fun listening along to this episode wherever you are in the world. If there's anything we talked about that you want to see discussed further, or perhaps there's stuff that we need to talk about more, or upcoming events, or what are your plans for the rest of the year in terms of comics making or looking forward to? We want to know it all, and there's several different ways you can get in touch with us. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media at awesomecomicspod on Instagram, where we're posting every day, usually a little bit of artwork from the books that we've talked about that week, and then some comic covers and stuff. I am very aware when I'm posting these about I don't want to use other people's artwork for our gain, so hopefully
now we're promoting other people. Yeah.
So if you see a bit of artwork or comic you like, listen to the show and then go buy that comic and go check out that comic. It feeds itself. You can also follow us on X, or whatever that tire fire is, at the awesome pod, where we will be retweeting any positivity in terms of comics that we see. And positivity is what it's all about, because we love comics. And thank you for listening to us, whether it was on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, leave a review or say something nice. Helps get the word out about the show. Algorithms and all that. It's all about algorithms.
We found we're on another podcast service today, didn't we? We didn't even know we existed.
Yes, we're on iHeart Radio. There's loads of different, because of the RS feeds and stuff, this little show goes out to all manner of sort of different services.
Say we're on Heart FM.
Yeah. If you listen to us like on something that we don't necessarily mention here, let us know, because it's always interesting to know where people have found this show. Because it might, who knows, might help with us getting the word out to future audiences. But we're also on like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, and what other networks are there, Tony?
We're on a network that comes from a message from a listener, who said, "I'll raw dog you redacted expletive."
Yeah, that's all one word when you type it into the search engine. And speaking of searching, people might want to search out more from us. So where can they go to find it, Tony?
I heard a really great quote from Clive James this week that said, "Those who lack humour are without judgment and should be trusted with nothing." It's good, isn't it?
That's great. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if people don't have humour, they're not listening to this show.
They're not understanding.
We bloody love our listeners, and if you're listening, we bloody love you, because like you're on board for this madness. But where can they find you, Tony?
neverwrineanything.com.
Nice. Dan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com. Good work on the old tops and bottoms. T, this week.
Thank you, mate.
Lovely
I hope
stuff.
you enjoyed my mention of Savile.
Every week
afterwards
great.
there.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, if you need to know what that is, then you need to go to Tony's website. See.
Yeah.
Catch up on that.
Weird, isn't it? Savile. How is that being repeated at the moment? Yeah.
Well, when people in like
in places of authority, ignoring things,
and turn a blind eye to. Vince blew out his cheeks there.
Yeah. The thing is, all of this has happened before I get to say where people can find me online.
Sorry,
I think that. Fucking
not related. Unrelated.
Yeah. Vince is not available at Jimmy Savile's website.
No, but you can find me online, etc. at Jester Diablo, and I made a little announcement earlier this week that Black Book 2 could be on its way. So
Back in Black.
Yeah, I could call it that, but I'm not going to because it won't fit with the aesthetic of the book. So thank you to everyone who has responded to that little post.
Nice work.
I mean, just a little response like that, just engagement like that, it gives you a little shot of, it's caffeine, isn't it? It's like that sort of adrenaline to be like, yeah, people do want some more of what you're selling. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so...
Mate, I'm about 15 fucking days out from completing a year-long draw-off like that.
Yeah, but
is long gone for me.
Yeah, but let's face it, Dan, there's something wrong with you. But it's
you say, "Oh no, I won't be doing Inktober,but I know what you're like."
Yeah,
no, you won't.
No, yeah, you will.
Definitely won't be.
Yeah,
definitely won't be.
I got the script through for a comic I'm drawing. That all my focusing me on. That.
Okay, right. Mark the calendars, listeners, because when we ask him in the first couple of episodes of October,
not happening.
He's shaking his head. He's shaking his head. He loves it. He's a masochist. He's a masochist.
I'm traveling into the future to read Dan's posts. I didn't want to get FOMO in October. Here's a panel from what I'm drawing today.
Yeah. All of a sudden he's drawing Cocktober, where it's just 30 different cocks for the.
We'll go for the baker's dozen, 13. 1 more month.
Oh dear. Anyway, yes. Follow the show. Follow us, and follow the comics that you like and the creators you like, and keep reading those comics and enjoying those comics, because that's what it's all about. Thank you very much for listening. Spread the word about the show to everyone you know, even your nan, and
especially your nan.
Especially your nan. I tell you what, we love nans.
I do. I could be a nan.
We're going to be tucking a few nan breads, aren't we, after the 50th?
Oh yeah. You could be a nan.
Yeah. I'm that age, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, we need to talk about this off air. So, from Dan, Tony, and myself at Awesome Towers, have a brilliant week. Read loads of comics. Dan's lost his woofer from his microphone. The whole show is fallen off a cliff. So I'm just about to deploy the parachute. And until next week, from everyone here, have a brilliant week. And what else should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
I guess you won't see. You'll hear.
Yeah.
Not seeing me.
I'll see you in my dreams.
Nightmares.
Sexy nightmares.
Wet dreams.
The wettest.